please, ladies and gentlemen, be upstanding for the entrance of the class of 2022. Well, graduates, parents, colleagues, family members and guests, it is with great pride and pleasure that I welcome you to the graduation of the class of 2022. This is an opportunity to celebrate, to reflect on success, and to mark the transition to a new stage of life for this group of young men and women. Well, soon to be graduates. Today is graduation day, and for a brief time, you are no longer full-time students. In about 1 hour, you'll be graduates. You have a summer of fun to look forward to, and you can carry on with fond memories of the high points of your high school years and begin the process of forgetting the bits you didn't enjoy so much. So let's look back over the last 12 years. You've spent 11,520 hours in the classroom. So what's the point of what you've learned? How useful will it really be in the coming years? It's a valid and relevant question for graduation, and I think I'm well placed to answer it, as are all the adults here. We all probably thought the same question when we were in high school, and you can look back on our lives to provide the answer regarding the true worth of what we've learned. For example, I studied 3 years of Latin in my school days. I thought it would be useful, as even at a young age I knew I wanted to live in Latin America. But then I got there, and they didn't understand a word I said. Studying Latin was a waste of time. My comments on Latin do give implicit ratification to the worth of studying Spanish or French or Mandarin. I'm sure we all see the value of that. You might need to ask for directions in a foreign country. That's happened to me frequently. You might like the look of a young lady or gentleman who doesn't speak your language. That's happened to me as well. Or you might get arrested in a South American country by gringo-hating policemen and have to talk your way out of the situation. World Language Department, you get an A+ for usefulness. But what about math? How much of that will we really use in our daily lives? Of course, if you're going to be an engineer, then yeah, you'll use a whole bunch of it. But ask your non-engineer parents, and I'm sure that many of them will confirm that the math they learned up until 6th grade was good enough to get the job done. Take the quadratic equation, for example. 98% of adults can vaguely recall it, but even most college graduate professionals rarely, if ever, apply it in everyday life. If I gave your parents a grade 10 algebra quiz right here, now and then, would they pass it? Even when you look at university graduates, 95% of them only use the math they learned by grade 8. So why do we plough on for 4 more years, filling valuable brain cells with irrelevant information? Now, before my math teaching colleagues storm the stage or heckle me, let me stress that I'm currently just raising the questions. They should wait for the answer to the hypothera before crossing me off their Christmas card list. Of course, other subjects can be seen in a slightly better light. Your ability to communicate in English will undoubtedly help you immensely, regardless of what the future holds in store for you. For example, you might be expected to give a speech at graduation. I'm not so convinced that your powers of literary analysis will be equally employed in getting you through life. Perhaps it will add to your cocktail party small talk, or perhaps help your own kids with their homework. Or maybe it will help you out if you're still trying to figure out what the word hypothera means. So why make all of English mandatory for all? Why don't we just restrict school to the useful universal bits and leave the rest as options? So English gets like a 50-50. Social studies is approached in an interesting way in school curriculum. The useful parts are optional, like psychology or economics. After all, we all need help understanding why we think what we think and to balance our finances. But the mandatory topics within social studies, covered in middle school and early high school, like history or geography, are far less useful in real life. After all, who needs to know how to read a map now that we have Waze? And as for history, well, they're all dead. Get over it. So, we could argue that physical education and health is the most important class of all. It's great to keep fit, and it's hard to argue against the positives of developing a lifelong commitment to exercise and good health. So why do we let students pack it all in at the end of grade 10? Shouldn't it be mandatory? So why can't school let us stick to the bits we're good at and enjoy rather than make us suffer the parts we have no knack for and never really get good at? In the words of Albert Einstein, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. Of course, we could argue that students are uncertain of what they want to be in life, so it's best to teach them everything just in case. But most of you were probably aware that you didn't want to be an engineer quite some time ago. Just as I knew I would never make it as a poet from about middle school, as my grade 7 English teacher made scathingly clear through his mocking laughter at my feeble attempts at the rhyming arts. Some say that as we never know what the future job market will look like, best to cover all bases just in case. But I don't see any future scenario in which poetry will make much of a comeback, or a sudden upsurge in demand for those skilled in trigonometry. So maybe we have to teach you all this stuff just so you can jump through the hoops that are required to get to college, so that then you can elect to pursue that which is meaningful to you and forget the rest forever. It's the skills that you have acquired in academics that will be of far greater use as you navigate your way through new situations with new demands on your ability to solve problems, learn quickly, and adjust to new environments. I like to think that the reason we teach you everything is that it's great exercise for the brain. So it's not what you learn, but your ability to learn it that becomes the point of the matter. But regardless of the real value of the content and skills, the attitudes and values that you have developed over the past years will serve you best. Confidence in yourself, the ability to work with others, the ability to empathize, to keep going when life gets demanding, and to seek out the good in others, and to contribute to the harmony of a successful, functioning world community. These attitudes have been developed in part by your experiences in school, be that academics, sports, the arts, or leadership positions in clubs and societies associated with school life. But as I mentioned last night, you have benefited far more from that provided you by your parents, and to them you should be forever thankful. Whatever challenges lie ahead, the strength of your parents, your friends, and that within yourself will ensure that you take your rightful place as a future leader in our international community. I'll leave you with a quote. I can't remember who said it, and even if I did, you don't know who it was anyway. But take pride in how far you've come, have faith in how far you can go, but don't forget to enjoy the journey. Graduates, parents, family members of graduates, friends and colleagues, I welcome you to the graduation of the class of 2022. I now welcome our head of school to the stage, Mr. Trevor Lebowski.
Yang Berbahagia, Tansri, Puansri, Dato Datin. Good evening and welcome to the 2022 MKIS graduation ceremony. It is a pleasure to be here, a real pleasure to be here in person with the graduates and to have all the friends, families, and staff join us to celebrate this wonderful occasion. The path to graduation for everyone is different, and this year is no exception. But graduation is a collective milestone and the result of academic achievement, hard work, resilience, and the partnership between parents, staff, and students. I'm proud of each and every individual here. Because the path to graduation is a collaboration, it is not just about the young adults before you. I would like to take a moment to recognize the most important people in our graduates' lives. Can we please take a moment and give our parents a round of applause? School is not just an academic endeavor, it's an emotional one as well. To the educators you trust your children with, education is not just a job or a career, it's a calling, a passion. They give their time, energy, and hearts each and every day. The students may not always remember what the teachers taught them, but they will never forget how they made them feel. A round of applause for our incredible educators. So with that, thank you, welcome, and thanks for being here for this special occasion. Enjoy.
I would now like to invite to the podium our two student speakers who have been chosen to speak on behalf of the graduating class. So I'd like us to welcome Ryan Roslin and Smriti Tandon.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight and gracing the occasion with your presence. It feels very different to stand on the MKIS stage for the last time. It makes me nostalgic already. But I would first like to take a moment to thank all of our teachers who have been so encouraging and so motivating, especially during the course of the past 2 years during IB. You guys have motivated us so much when we used to be almost burnt out and sleep deprived almost every day. Thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for having confidence in us. Thank you for being so understanding and for always checking in with us. For example, I remember Mr. Shao would always ask about our special plans for vacations and long weekends. And he always encouraged us to be relaxing, to switch on from work during those vacations. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Russell, for listening to us rant about IB and how stressful our lives are. Thank you for always being so understanding and being there to listen. Thank you for all the amazing life lessons and stories you have given us. They will always stick with us. Thank you so much to all the teachers. We're also very, very grateful to all of our parents. You have created such comfortable and relaxing atmospheres for all of us at home. And thank you for believing in us even when we could not. Thank you so much. Finally, last but not the least, I would like to thank the entire grade who have given me such wonderful memories over the course of the last 4 years. I still remember my first few days at KIS when I was still trying to navigate through the hallways and trying to wrap my head around the school system, which was so different from where I was coming from. But you guys made it so easy and so wonderful. I have made some amazing friends over here, which I'm going to miss every single day of my life. Tanisha, I'm going to miss our long coffee walks during the first 15 minutes of study hall. Those were the best therapy sessions ever. Laila, I'm going to miss your fun and positive aura that you always carry with yourself. It's so contagious. Jacob, I'm going to miss annoying you so much. And Miko, I'm going to miss our weird music sessions during art class and also getting amazed by the amazing paint and color pencil collection that the school has, which we always wanted to take back home. But Mr. Changs, don't worry, we did not steal anything. Lastly, all I can say is I'm gonna miss all of you so much, and all the best to all of you for all your future endeavors, and good luck. Thank you so much.
Hi, so good evening, parents, teachers, faculty, guests, and the class of 2022. To begin, my experience at MKS can be summarized in 4 words. It was a movie. Now, some of you, I hope, may be wondering, well, Ryan, was it a good or bad movie? Well, neither. It was phenomenal. Like any movie, there were extraordinary highs and awful lows, yet both combined to create an unforgettable experience, and at the center of this was this cast of special students. I still vividly remember 9th grade. Although many of my friends know me as an extrovert, I was actually on the verge of throwing up because I was so nervous. However, my nerves calmed after I began interacting with my classmates, and I was shocked at how friendly everyone was. It was something I wasn't accustomed to, and although these people were nice, I was disinterested in making close relations. And this was because I was more excited about leaving after my first year and continuing my studies at another school. For context, MKS was not my first choice, and due to circumstances out of my control, I ended up here. However, I'm grateful that life sent me down this path, as little did I know this group would play a significant role in my life forever. One aspect of MKS that I have always enjoyed and embraced was the community and how connected everyone was to each other. Compared to other schools, we are small, but I feel as though this has made our bond stronger and more meaningful. However, we are now all grown up and going our separate ways. Truthfully, I will miss everyone and every single moment that I've shared, from classes to sports to EMT trips. These memories will last forever, and I know that when I'm older, I'll surely look back on the memories on the past and smile, knowing I had a great high school life, which was only made possible by this group of students. Hopefully, wherever we are, we will maintain close relations with one another, and I know that everyone here is destined for greatness. And my only advice for everybody is to not look back, take every opportunity you get, and always look forward. Remember that even if it feels like the world is against you, you've got your friends and you got your family to lean on. To all the teachers who are present during this important stage in our lives, I would like to thank all of you for your hard work in nurturing us into the best students possible, and also for all the extensions. Without your guidance, we wouldn't be standing on this stage today. Additionally, to the teachers who are leaving this year, you will be missed, as many of you played a humongous role in shaping our lives and our minds. Final order of business, to all the parents present this evening. Sorry, one sec. Thank you for everything. Goddamn, sorry. Thank you for everything you've done for us, from bringing us into this world, putting a roof over our heads, working hard to provide for us, and loving us unconditionally. You guys are the MVP, and we are eternally grateful. Thank you especially to my mom and dad for raising me to become the man I am today. I would also like to take this moment to thank someone special who I won't mention by name. Thank you for being by my side from the start of high school till the end. I'm forever grateful that I joined MKS because I got to meet you. Now, this wouldn't be a Ryan speech without a Kanye quote, and this quote comes from one of my favorite albums, appropriately titled Graduation, and it goes like this: "On this day we become legendary, everything we dreamed of. I'm like the fly Malcolm X, buy any jeans necessary, Detroit wear cleaned up. From the streets to the league, from an eighth to a key, but you graduate when you made it up out of the streets. From the moments of pain, look how far we done came. Haters saying you changed, now you're doing your thing. Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2022.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce this year's valedictorian, the student who has earned the highest cumulative grade point average during their MKS high school years. Anzar Alvi initially enrolled in MKS in grade 1 and remained until grade 6. He then departed MKS, returning for grade 9 and completing all of his high school years at MKS. Anza exemplifies many, if not all, of the IB learner profile attributes. He's a very caring, respectful, honest, and composed young man. He always aims to achieve the best in everything he does, and does through resilience and clear-headedness. Anza is a conscientious, hard-working, and enthusiastic learner. Always the most polite student in the room. Anza is a role model and a mentor to others. He has an amazing work ethic. He had the best grades in class when he was in grade 2 and has held on to that lead ever since. Anza draws guidance for his life skills through his obsessive love of the TV show Friends. Or so I've been told. Beyond excelling academically, Anza has been involved in a range of sports, when we used to have sports, and an active member of Math Honour Society, National Honour Society, Student Council, and Photography Club. Andrew plans to study in Canada, having been accepted by the University of Toronto to study life science. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium our valedictorian, Anza Alvi.
Before I start, I would like to tell you all a short story. Back in grade 10, a dear friend of mine gifted me a pencil. So grade 10, and then eventually this IB, each note or each test taken, this pencil was with me through it all. It was my good luck charm, you could say. Now, a week before my first IB exam, I lost it. I lost a pencil that was with me through every up and down, every achievement, and every downfall. In fact, I told myself that I was going to fail all my exams. Then one day I realized that, well, you see, these superstitions are something that we carry throughout our academic lives. Now, obviously, this doesn't need to be a pencil, but it's really anything that acts as a comfort blanket. A comfort blanket is defined as something familiar that makes you feel safe or confident. Well, we all love our comfort blankets, which live in the environments known as our comfort zones, but we know how far fixed mindsets can get us. So how do we achieve a growth mindset? Well, the answer is simple. It's achieved when we realize that our comfort blankets hold us back from our true potential as academic scholars as well as human beings. You see, when we make this realization, only then will we be able to implement a growth mindset. And trust me, this is definitely easier said than done. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Unzer Elvi, and it's an honor to be standing up here today as valedictorian, representing the graduating class of 2022. Now would everyone please join me in giving a hand to my fellow graduating peers. I'd like to start off by thanking those who make Mont'Kiara International School extraordinary. We thank the administration, who've been dealt with unprecedented circumstances over the past few years and have had to make the difficult decisions for us. We thank the faculty, who show up each and every day for our futures, who have a smile on their face each class even when we may feel unmotivated or inattentive. And on top of that, for focusing on forming and nurturing relationships with students, which for several of us will last forever. We thank the custodian staff, who get here before us and leave after us in order to make this educational space as convenient and comfortable as possible. We thank each and every family member in the audience for their endless support, encouragement, and advice, and especially to the parents and guardians who have supported our education and have dealt with our attitudes each and every day. We do apologize for that. Regardless of the ups and downs over the years, we love you. To my fellow peers, the graduating class of 2022, the collective support that each individual student provides is what has helped myself and all of us overcome the hurdles in both our academic and personal lives. I thank you. To my family, Mama and Baba, you have taught me invaluable lessons which can't be taught in a classroom, including my values, the importance of my well-being, and to always strive for excellence. Aman and Saban, my true best friends, the ones who I can talk to about anything and who are there for me whenever I need it. I thank you and I love you. Over the last 10 years here at Mont'Kiara International School, I've learned a lot. And over the last 4 years of high school, well, we have learned a lot. I would like to take this opportunity to talk about how this community at Mont'Kiara International School has been our comfort blanket. Mr. Devine didn't just teach us how to differentiate a function or tell us about the next Peaky Blinders episode. He taught us more than that. He taught us how to ignite the fire that is our intrinsic motivation, and to not worry too much about extrinsic factors like grades or the final outcome. Just as long as you have passion towards what you are doing, that's all you need. Now, English wasn't all about Jacob thinking that LBJ was LeBron James. No, there was more to it. Mr. Russell has taught us how to live life a bit more freely. Now, this might not make perfect sense, but here's what I mean. Whenever doing a science or math test, there's structure. There's a syllabus, there are high-yield topics, and, well, there's an answer. And being trained to follow the system, I naturally applied it to English. You see, I wanted structure to my essays. I wanted to know what I'd be writing about before entering that exam hall. But I made the realization that having structure was one of my comfort blankets. Structure is good, don't get me wrong, it helps you. But after having a discussion with Mr. Russell, I realized that you can't plan everything. And you need to believe in yourself and your abilities to express an idea. Your instinct when expressing an idea, whether that's related to an English essay, climate change, gender equality, racial equality, child marriage, or anything of importance to you, is something that can't be planned. If you are genuine about how you want to make an impact towards the world, nobody should prevent you from doing so. You see, we don't always need structure. A world full of realists won't allow us to evolve as members of the human race, and, well, let's be honest, it'd just be a boring world. We need the dreamers. The ones who don't follow the system but create their own. And I can promise you that there are many people in this room today who will be the dreamers that we need in our world. Now, I remember very early into our first year, Mr. Mack showed us a paper 1 exam. Naturally, our class freaked out. We tried our best to convince Mr. Mack to take our psychology exam for us. Didn't work, by the way. But he said one very simple thing, which I'm sure you've all heard before, and that was to trust the process. We've heard it before. I'm sorry, Mr. Mack, to be honest, it's not always convincing to hear that. Definitely not as convincing as him persuading us that Malaysian tap water is drinkable. But I was convinced. Now, I would like to rephrase what he said, but it's really the same idea, and that is to focus on the journey, not the destination. Anzir, we've heard this saying before. Now, even if you have or if you haven't, I want to talk about what this phrase means to me, because a lesson learned is a lesson shared. If you get too caught up in what is to come, you forget to cherish the moment. And I say this today, but being frank, I focused too much on the destination. I was so wound up on the next test, the mocks, the finals, wanting to know if I'd be standing up here today as valedictorian. But then eventually, what will happen? Well, you see, there's a wide range of possibilities of potential outcomes, but that's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on what you lose when your only focus is the outcome. Now, we all aim for different goals, but something which is shared amongst us all is valued relationships with others. And unfortunately, that may be what we lose when we lose sense of the journey because we're too caught up in the final result. So it's best to take a second, reflect once in a while, and realize that if you continue with this mindset, then the dream that you talk about with your friends, well, it's never going to come. Kobe Bryant once said, "Those times when you stay up late and you work hard, those times when you don't feel like working, you're too tired, you don't want to push yourself, but you do it anyway, that is actually the dream." That's the dream. And believe me, there's no point in striving for a goal if you don't enjoy working for it. Now, I can tell you with certainty that I have strived for a goal which has resulted in a fractured relationship with someone else. And I do regret it. But, something we've all heard before, it's never too late to make a change in your life. I'm happy to be standing up here today. And I don't regret being valedictorian, I simply regret some of the sacrifices I have made to reach this goal. And this is something that we should realize today. Now, fast forward to the future and replace an academic or personal goal you have today with the goal of chasing money at the expense of time with your children. People say it's never too late to make a realization, and that's true. But seniors, it's never too early either. Now, guys, up to this point, we've had it figured out. We have had structure. 5 years of elementary, 3 years of middle, and 4 years of high school. Not to mention supportive teachers in this tight-knit community who have been holding our hands throughout. This next chapter of our life is filled with uncertainty, ambiguity, and, well, some big decisions. But we expected this to happen. We knew that today, on May 27th, we'd graduate. We knew that today was our last day as high school students, right? So why should we be uncertain about the future when we all have an idea of what's to come? What's there to worry about? Well, you see, that's not the point. Sure, we have some sense of the future, but what's really worth mentioning is that we won't be able to do what we do best. Prepare for it. You can't study for the future. And while as much as we may fear studying or preparing for an exam, at least we always know how to prepare. We're going to be facing challenges. And it's time we accept that a fixed or a structural mindset, well, it doesn't always work. Instead, a growth or creative mindset is what we need to adopt. However, we should always remind ourselves to never let a wanted outcome lead to the damage of a healthy relationship. We have all been taught valuable lessons by different individuals, whether that's family, friends, teachers, mentors, or anybody of value to you. And the lessons they have taught us is what allows us to truly strive for our goals and achieve that growth mindset. Lessons which aid us to pull away from that comfort blanket that we have been wrapping ourselves in for our whole lives so far. And guys, it's time for us all to lose that pencil. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. In this moment of time, it is no doubt that we seniors are the ones spotlighted. We, in fact, deserve to be celebrated for the amount of time and effort we devoted in completing this long, arduous journey. Hence, I would like to deliver a short congratulations to every student on the stage. When there's a superstar, there's always a supporter. For us to arrive in this time and space, we would have not succeeded without the sincere support of each and every teacher in this school. I will wholeheartedly nominate every single teacher in the school who developed us to be suited in a proper senior jacket, yet our time for graduation is unfortunately limited. So if you ask, who was the teacher that you will remember the most? I have no choice but to nominate our English teacher, Mr. Matthew Russell. Mr. Russell and our cohort spent a unique time together in MKIS. Upon my knowledge, we are the only students that Mr. Russell taught from the beginning of the IB program until the very end. We have had memorable experiences. I sincerely appreciate his teaching method, which aims to give students autonomy over their studies, allowing us to find and focus our strengths. If we were to have conducted a poll on which teacher was the most understanding, I would have no doubt that his name will be called out. If you were to ask, what one adjective describes Mr. Russell? I would say onionistic. Onions have layers, as does Mr. Russell. We will go for a 3-hour conversation about the appropriateness of the words as an adjective, but I only came to a realization that Mr. Russell is an interesting yet highly intellectual teacher after having multiple conversations. That's enough spoilers. Now, I would like to invite our teacher, Mr. Russell, to our stage and hear his stories about us. Please welcome him with a big and loud applause.
So first of all, thank you for that introduction, Jacob. And before I open this and I get on the script, I just want to say just sincerely, it's been a really wonderful time with all of you, and I'll always remember you. All right? So back in December, when Anzar approached me about speaking at graduation, I didn't hesitate to say yes. I couldn't hesitate because I have nothing but high praise and genuine respect to offer to our graduating seniors. They are, one and all, wonderful people, and I am happy to have the chance to share my thoughts about them on a day like this. Through the time I had the pleasure to spend with them and the unusual challenges we all face together, I learned that there is something wholesome and good about all of the people who are here today to complete an extremely important part of their life journey. Seniors, You have all been a much needed and consistent reminder of what I love about teaching, and also of how much growth and change can come as a result of the hard work, persistence, and determination it takes to get to where you are today. You are resilient, and I hope to use this chance to communicate to this audience of your friends, families, and the rest of the MKIS school community some idea of what I see in you. I also want to use today to acknowledge two important forces in shaping who these people are. Forces that have played the largest of parts in producing the many wonderful attributes I see in them. They are the love and dedication given to them by their parents, and the lasting impressions made by the various members of this school community. Without all of you, they would not be who they are or have arrived at this transitional point in their lives. Mr. Shanks addressed that transition at last night's dinner when he found himself a tad lost for words when it came to knowing what to call the people on this stage. He made the comment just after raising the humorous potential conflict of overlapping graduation speeches between him and Mr. Lebowski. Little did he know that I had already included similar ideas in my own comments for today, but I'm glad for the overlap. It makes me feel better about what I want to say and about the same subject, and highlights the reality of the rite of passage we are all experiencing today. When I prepared these thoughts, I, like Mr. Shanks, found myself struggling to find words that would be appropriate for describing our graduating class. They are no longer students to those of us who have seen them in our classrooms day after day, and their parents and other adults who have known them throughout their entire lives may no longer be able to refer to them as children as easily as they once did. They are and have been becoming young adults who are capable of inspiring others with their intelligence, insight, and creativity. And as young, increasingly more independent adults, they are about to set out on new journeys that are more directed by their choices and how they elect to manifest themselves in the world. In a book that has greatly influenced my own perspective on life and my own independent journey, the main character gradually distances himself from the world he knows and becomes a stranger to those around him. He moves toward the realization that what he thought he knew may not be all there is. And he learns that meaning is not fixed, that true joy and purpose can be found in accepting ambiguity and by stepping away from what is comfortable to learn and to evaluate everything that came before. Much of what we do as teachers and students in the International Baccalaureate asks for this kind of self-examination so that we can ideally become better participants in the spheres of influence that we have the opportunity to find ourselves in. The rest of what I have to say comes from what I've learned about the students as they have undertaken this journey. Some of it is even about how they've helped me to continue my own journey, and some is meant to encourage them to stay on and continue down the path they've already found. So, graduates, I have some advice for you. The advice consists of the kinds of things I would say to you if I don't ever get a chance to give you guidance again. Let's begin with your pursuit of excellence. For many of you, your drive and pursuit of excellence has never been in doubt, not from the first day I met you. You are always adding to your knowledge and building your expertise. To excel and to be the best is your primary goal, and through your continued pursuit of that goal, you will, without a doubt, always have something to offer the world. But I want to ask you, in your efforts to keep excellence an important focus of your journeys, that you still remember to prioritize self-care. I believe, sorry. I believe that you cannot maintain excellence without maintaining your well-being, and that life is also about maintaining some sense of kindness and empathy for yourself and for others. It is also about love and acceptance, friendship and family. So make sure you take time for those things and never take for granted what they add to your lives. For others of you, Your innate ability to perceive and your ability to creatively express what you perceive shines in everything you do. Your insight and creativity are valuable assets to you and to everyone around you, but don't forget that much of life is also about process and time, and that time and process are more often than not essential to creative communication and to effectively sharing new and challenging ideas. Both are essential to being seen and heard and to creating change. And while articulation of your insight is sometimes going to be hard work, don't get frustrated and don't give up. You have too much to offer. And many of you have been guided to this point in your lives by the loving support and expectations of those near to you. You pushed hard to achieve what was set in front of you, and you've learned valuable lessons and self-discipline in order to do so. For you, I have something simple I'd like you to consider as you move forward to the next big thing in your lives. There may be a time when you will need to start to recognize or define your own expectations of yourself. And even though that might be more simply said than done, I want to encourage you by telling you that doing so will give more meaning and purpose to your lives. To close, I'd like to see if I can get all of you to think back to the start of grade 11. We started the year on campus, and I had just arrived in Malaysia. My first memories of that time involve a fierce discussion between Margot, Eamon, and a few others about the timeless debate of whether cats are better than dogs. You remember that? I also remember Sarah sharing her insight and interpretation of the possible symbolism of the jungle in Tim O'Brien's writing. Her ideas gave me one of my first hints of how the many cultures and experiences of my students here in Malaysia would provide fresh perspectives on the works we would study. I remember Ryan asking about indigenous peoples and seeing the importance of that question when Eamon pointed it out to me in a private conversation. And a year later in discussion, Ryan and I shared about his TOK exhibition. In that lesson, sorry, I just skipped a part of what I was writing. I was just giggling at Eamon. So there's one more thing. I remember Smriti adding more insight into how much our cultures and experiences shape the way we all see and communicate when she immediately described an object as a curry spoon when I pulled it out of a bag in a lesson around that time. In that lesson, the bag was filled with various articles, cutlery of different types and sizes. That's where the curry spoon label came from. There was a decorative handbag a Cameroonian friend of mine gave to my partner as a gift when he first met her, a wooden frog that makes a ribbit sound when a mallet is rubbed across its ridged back, and a few other nondescript items meant to prompt thinking and maybe some discussion. The idea was to get all of you to write down whatever name or label came to mind when you first saw each object, and then to see how many different names came from the diverse group of people in the room. I had hoped to illustrate the power language holds when it comes to how we label and shape the world. Like other instances, I'm not sure if what I intended really came across in the lesson. We were just getting to know one another, and we were all pushing hard to make it through a number of unique challenges. But I wanted to try to remind you of that lesson so I could use it to give you one final piece of advice before you graduate and begin moving forward to whatever comes next. So, in the same way that language allows us to take who we are and impress it on the world, you also possess that power to define yourselves in the direction you want your lives to take. When you do that, I believe that you have a better chance of finding success and happiness as you define those terms. And my hope is that doing so will give each of you a chance to contribute to the world in meaningful ways. So, now that I've had a chance to say thank you for our time together and to bore you one last time with the perspectives and advice of a slightly grouchy middle-aged English teacher, I just want to finish by saying congratulations and good luck to all of you, sincerely.
Thank you very much, Mr. Russell. I think I'll reevaluate my sense of the worth of English after hearing your words and stuff. Okay, well, it comes to the part that we've all been waiting for, okay, the awarding of the diplomas. And to assist me in that function, I would like to invite to the stage Ms. Brisa Yamamura, our high school counsellor, and also Mr. Lebowski, head of school.
Laila Adham Hatab. Aiden Zyron Amy. Abdul Majid Saad Al-Katani. Anzar Alvi. Wei Wen Ang. Danya Ashikin Binti Azahar. Margot Chan Shayu. Hamza Luai Nabil Damer. Adam Jeffrey Dillon. Amin Imran. Dorka Boglaka Uhouse. Shams Kader. Tanisha Kara. Junpyo Kim. Zhao Chi Li. Yihong Lee. Ryan Muriz Ramat Roslin. Jada Kaede Sanada. Shay Edris Shay Farouk. Balista Serafina Subahan. Smriti Tandon.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to present to you the graduating class 2022.